GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew, ICCU, switcher, graphics, CG, and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter who's in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience, we're also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system, which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras, like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts. I
prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup, because on a production you see a number of people in the van, and so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets, and so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the truck and do business with it.
It looks huge but very affordable. Cost is really affordable. My experience with it, EMI awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable. GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, Like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew, ICCU, switcher, graphics, CG and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter who's in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience, we're also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system, which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras, like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts. I
prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup, because on a production you see a number of people in the van, and so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets, and so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the truck and do business with it.
It looks huge, but very affordable. Cost is really affordable. My experience with it, EMI awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable.
Friday morning, if you want. That is if you can find me. But from now through till 10 a.m., I am your captain for this beautiful ship. But I am here to serve you nothing but sizzling breakfast. Let me start by motivating you. Our quote of the day is by Camilla Erin Kimball, who says, "You do not find the happy life, you make it." Whatever it is that you're going through, from Monday I've been telling you to look on the brighter side of life. So whatever it is you're going through, shut it off. It's okay. Just shrug your shoulders and then wusubigu. Just make your life a happy one. So that's our coach of the day. That's our way of motivating you this morning as you go about your duties today to end a beautiful week, and of course to welcome in the weekend. Let's bring you a wrap of our words that we've brought you to help you improve your English language writing and of course speaking.
Here is a recap of the words we brought you this week. On Monday we brought you replete. On Tuesday, we brought you somnambulism. On Wednesday, we brought you veracity. And on Thursday, we brought you ambidextrous.
Okay, so that is a wrap of the words that we brought you this week. Make sure that you're looking forward to it every weekday here on the show. But let me pump you up. Or usually on weekends, we enjoy some live band. Let me set the tone. rendition of famous songs that we've enjoyed right from our childhood days. It's now time for Inside Out. So on Inside Out this morning, we're asking you to tell us what's on your mind. You know, every Friday we open the phone lines so that you can have your say. Even though this week we've been able to do that a lot, and I understand that a lot of you don't worry, we'll try and incorporate that a lot during the week. But on Fridays we open the phone lines so you can have a bite at the various national issues. Leading the pack is the suspension of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. And now there is a court injunction on the suspension. That's by Vincent Ekoasifa. He's a member of parliament for Tafo. What are your thoughts on the suspension? The GBA has put a penny of thoughts on what is happening with the suspension of the CJ. The GBA says, let the due process be followed. In any case, I want to ask you this morning, do you think that President Mahama should have suspended the CJ? Do you think that this process should have commenced in the first place? And has President Mahama breached any constitutional rule or any constitutional provision? No. So let me seek your thoughts on what you think about the CJ. Do you also think that it is a political witch hunt like the minority is saying? And then there is the Tamale Teaching Hospital saga. Yesterday, the Health Minister, Kwabena Minta-Kando, while presenting a list of items to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, essential items to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, he mentioned that he is not one person who will engage in disrespecting others. However, respect is reciprocal. He also touched on the very critical points that a lot of us, over the period have talked about, lack of resources for our various health facilities. He paid an unannounced visit to Rage a couple of weeks ago, and he was disappointed about the state of affairs. Tamale Teaching Hospital is no exception. And yesterday, a number of you called and you raised salient points about the insanitary state of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, about the lack of resources, poor response from health workers, and a whole lot. And then Akonta Mining is also in the news. Akonta Mining says, we have done no wrong, but the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources says, revoke their licenses because they are engaged in illegality. I have my first caller. Hi there, caller. Good morning to you and a happy Friday to you. Your name and where you're calling me from.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you too?
I'm also doing good. How is my beautiful sister?
She's doing awesome. She's away from post for the time being, but she'll be back soon. She's doing awesome. I'm sure she'll watch this. And I'll equally convey your message.
Okay. Just send my wisdom to her.
I'll do so gladly.
And Samina Muslim and lawyer ADD Sama for National Vice Chairman for NDC. That would be so far. And Honorable Abu Takuru. My name is Tamale Teaching. Can you mention the name?
Come again?
Yes. I think can you mention the name?
I'll make do with Alaji for now. Please make your point.
No problem. When you look at that, what is going on in this country is not petition. Excellency John Rahman Mama followed the petition process, and he wants to follow the process to suspend the Chief Justice Madam Justice Torkornoo. When you look at that his conduct in the court, he feels like he doesn't know what he did in the court. Because people in this country did not stop our judiciary. Whether rain or shine, you did not enjoy the kind of judgment and the deliver in the court. Because they appoint you as Chief Justice, just do your work diligently. And you didn't do it so. And you sit there as some party representative. When you look at this and you ask yourself questions, limit it to the Parliament issue.
Okay.
When Parliament have an issue and they bring it into court, and she failed to listen to the Speaker lawyer. She failed to listen to the Speaker lawyer, and she acts like she doesn't know the law.
Okay.
And you can say, when you look about this thing, and you still want to be in office, let's remove her quickly. Not talk about
Okay. Thank you very much, Alaji, for making your point. That's Alaji calling as he was talking about the judiciary and then the fact that the CG has been suspended. But what are your thoughts generally? Do I have another caller? Hi there, caller. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good. Really, morning.
Morning, sir.
Good. I want to talk about that. My name is Yusuf.
Yusuf. Okay.
Yes, calling from Tamale.
Okay.
It's about the Tamale Teaching Hospital issue.
Right.
You see, my condolences to the Bree family. But the reality on the ground is that today I want to ask a question. Why is the vice president?
The vice president. Yesterday, the president even addressed it. That the vice president is now doing well and she
Why is she today? She's out of the country for medical checkup. Why didn't they leave her here? Because they know that the hospitals in the country are not good. It's unfortunate they just attack the doctor, that Dr. Valentine. If you know the good the man is doing over there, sacrifice his life. And they just came there and announced, the man wants to explain to you, no, you take his time. And where is the vice president? If the hospitals are good in the country, why didn't they leave her here? Why didn't they leave her here? And I want to, it's unfortunate they didn't sack the CEO. What only he do? There's nothing there. The man wants to say, so he's inefficient, he should be sacked. If you want to control the equipment for the hospital, assuming the time he was there, supply all this, we have been sacked.
But the government, the government just took over, didn't it? And yesterday there was a presentation.
I'm not blaming the current government too. They know the situation. Even the head minister, to let him fall sick, would they leave his head? They were sending abroad. He was just talking papa, as if, but it's unfortunate. I wish I was a doctor that day. Where's the vice president? If the hospitals in the countries are good, no, when he first took him to medical, GHOne medical hospital, why did they remove the send outside? If the hospital conditions in the countries are good, yeah, the politicians, they behave as if everything, and you know, who's working for you people? Just supply the thing for the hospital. As you have got there, if there's any measure, when they use it and support it, you know the problem, and then it's unfortunate, the CEO should go, this man should do this, the doctor should do this. You know how to take somebody to become a doctor?
Okay. Yusuf, thank you very much. Yusuf has also made his point on the Tamale Teaching Hospital, and he makes a point that, well, the Ghanaian hospitals in general are sick. Anyway, I have another caller. Hi there, caller. Good morning to you. Happy Friday to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling me from?
My name is Peter Quinati, calling from New Abram.
Okay, talk to me, sir.
See, you're talking about leadership. The issue here is leadership.
Okay.
If you've been given a role to handle, you see, we expect you to bring things out. If there's a problem, voice it out.
Right.
You see, you are there representing somebody. And if you are facing challenges, why wouldn't you report to the president, these are challenges that I'm facing? Okay? So it's not about where is the vice president, where is so the issue is about what is the role of the person managing the place. You see? And what do you use their idea for? You see, so let's know how to talk about these things. And sometimes when issues happen, people will just feel that this person is my family or this person is coming from this place, so they will not love to go straight up. What has happened is the right thing, and it's simple. Ghanaians don't want to be disciplined, and these things have been happening for quite long. Secondly, I want to ask this: how long is a minor supposed to get a prospecting license, and how long is he supposed to be using that prospecting license for such a prospecting? You know, things are happening, and we need to be very careful. Okay, and I also want to talk on the issue of the CJ. You see, the issue is if she has not done anything, I don't think these issues should have pop up, or somebody will end up petitioning the president that she should be removed from office. Okay, look at what happened that this parliament issue with Honorable Fiji Marcus. You see, things were so strict, but there are so many cases that have not been dealt with for quite long. We should be very careful when we are given certain rules and when we get the power. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
You too. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend as well. Unfortunately, that's all time will allow for now. Thank you to all of you who called. Those of you who wanted to speak to me, unfortunately, I cannot pick any more calls. But do send us your thoughts on our various social media pages. Our Facebook pages is active. All our X pages are equally active. When you send in the message, please add hashtag GH today. I can read them here on the show for you. My name is Lily Mohammed. It's now time to head to the courts. Welcome back to the show. This is still GH Today here on GHOne TV. I am Lily Mohammed. Let's head to the court and response. I am wondering what exactly they were. Those who are unhappy about the GBA's reaction. I'm wondering what exactly they wanted the GBA to do, because you see, there's a constitutional provision.
Absolutely.
We are a constitutional democracy, and so the Constitution stipulates certain things clearly. And so once you go contrary to the Constitution, the law must take its course.
Absolutely.
And the president has followed the constitutional provision, to the best of my knowledge, to the letter. So I am wondering what exactly the opposing reactions are thinking that the Ghana Bar Association should be doing. Really, there's due process. Allow it.
So if you follow the discussion, the conversation very well, you realize that the whole country is divided. It's just like when the case is in court, you mind what you see until such time that a decision is taken. Absolutely. And once a decision is taken, now you can take a stand and criticize or argue in support of whatever has been done.
Or if you
absolutely
think that, I mean, you do not accept it, or
there's a way to do it. Absolutely,
then you can appeal
absolutely. So the conversation about taking a stand at this particular point in time, I think it is dangerous. Yes. I personally think that
yes.
So if you see the GBA statement, I've seen a lot of people mention that the GBA should declare their stance, and I've also heard a conversation that we are declaring our stance for what? What is happening now is a constitutional provision. The president is following the laid down procedure. The suspension of the CJ doesn't mean the CJ has been found culpable of whatever allegations that have been made.
And they make, I mean, very interesting points.
Absolutely.
Because so, if you look at the clause 11 of the 146 on which the CJ has been suspended, it says the president is at any point allowed to remove or lift the suspension. So I'm wondering the qualms.
So for those who are very clear with the provisions, they will tell you that yes, is the president wrong? Absolutely not.
No.
The processes that he has activated, does the Constitution allow him to do that?
Yes.
Yes. So where then lies declare a stand when a decision has not been taken. So if they declare a stance today and tomorrow a decision is taken, where does it lie? Because we have heard lawyers say that when the matter is pending before the court, it's sub judice. Some would say sub judice. So mind what you say so that you do not preempt the decision of the court.
And it's the same contempt.
Absolutely, the same situation here. The matter is going through the processes. Allow it to fester. Allow it to end. At the end, whatever outcome it comes, we can all look at it, we can all criticize, and we can all say what we want to say. But at this particular point in time, it is too early for us. So we'll go to the touch screen and see the statement from the Ghana Bar Association in relation to what they have been saying. And they made some very key, interesting points there. So you note that extracts from the statement that they issued yesterday was to the effect that the GBA also notes the provisions of Article 1468, 9 and 10, which indicates that the sittings of the committee shall be held in camera. It's one of the things that a lot of people have. Make it open and all of that, but that is a constitutional provision.
Exactly.
And until such time that the constitution is reviewed, nobody can do anything about it.
And especially in
absolutely. And the president, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, may suspend the Chief Justice. This one is a may.
It's discretion.
So in accordance. And this is stated in the Constitution. So it is a constitutional provision. The GBA went on further to say that while the GBA recognized the constitutional prescriptions for the removal of the Chief Justice under Article 1466 to 10 of the Constitution, mindful of the fact that presently the entire matter is sub judice. Sub judice, some people would say sub judice. It's still pending. And so it is the hope and the belief of the GBA that the actors involved in this whole process would have the time tested tenets of the rule of law as their guiding principle, and its application follow the spirit of the law. Okay, so let's look at the next one. And so the GBA is also saying that it is expected that persons who play even the minutest role in this process will bear in mind Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution on the exercise of discretion, and will act in a manner that safeguards and enhances the independence and image of the judiciary. So in the minds of the GBA, as it is now, everybody should be very cautious of what you say. And a lot of lawyers have been out there, depending on where you belong to and things that they say. It went on further to say that justice emanates from the good people of Ghana, and it is administered by the judiciary headed by the Chief Justice. And the GBA shall carry out its mandate to defend, strengthen, and enhance confidence in the justice delivery system in Ghana. So the GBA yesterday, I told you about the fact that the stakeholders, there were one stakeholder that we haven't heard from. Yesterday, they came out with a statement, and then the statement is the effect that they are asking all the parties, especially the committee, the 5-member committee chaired by Justice Gabriel Puaman, to be fair in their dealings, to adhere to the rule of law, and ensure that whatever the Constitution allows, whatever the rules involving this whole process allow, they follow the rule to the letter. And at the end, yesterday I heard Xavier Kuje, who is a national PRO, spoke earlier, and then he made the point that he was justifying why they have taken a neutral position instead of taking a stance in this whole matter, just so to ensure that the law is allowed to work, the committee is allowed to work, just like we are being told that when the case is before the court, you are minded what to say. When a decision is taken, you can criticize. And I say again that the fact that the Chief Justice has been suspended doesn't mean that she has been found culpable. We have seen this come up so many times. People have been suspended, people have been interdicted. After everything, they say that no adverse findings have been made, go back to post and all of that. So I think that it is a provision in our constitution and it has been activated. So let's follow the process at the end. So that is from the Ghana Bar Association.
One leg of
Absolutely. So yesterday they have been responding to that in relation to that. And you're talking about
the old Tafo MP.
Vincent Asifua is already in court, and there are many who have made the point that is that particular case not moot? Because one, you are saying that the processes ought to be given to the Chief Justice.
And the Chief Justice has already been given a fair hearing.
She has responded to that and all of that. So
doesn't make that particular process moot?
Obviously, Obviously. In the face of the process, it does. But of course, it is the court that will have to make that determination. May 6th, that will come out. So if you want to even look into what is happening, on what basis another interlocutory injunction has been filed. But in respect of the latest one, Director, let's have it on the screen. In respect of the latest one that has been filed, he is seeking the Supreme Court to suspend the suspension of the Chief Justice. It is rhyming. The literature students will love that one then. So that is
so the Chief Justice has been suspended.
Yes.
He's praying the court to suspend that particular suspension.
Absolutely. So the literature student, I have some exercise for you this one. So one of the things that he is seeking in relation to that injunction filed yesterday, he made references to the substantive matter, what he's seeking before the court and all of them, why he has decided to go with this latest one. He's been led by the former Attorney General, Godfred Yebuadam. He makes the point that he's seeking an order restraining any step or action from being purportedly taken as part of the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice under Article 146 or in any manner until the hearing and the final determination of the instant action. So stop whatever you are doing. Let the substantive matter before the court determine before you go on and do with any or you touch whatever is before or is happening. It's also seeking an order suspending the operations of the warrants for the suspension of the Chief Justice purportedly issued by the President under Article 146(10) of the 1992 Constitution until the hearing and the final determination of the instant action. The instant action that he's talking about is the main case that he's filed, asking that initially the President ought to have notified the Chief Justice and all of that before then. And for now, he thinks that stopping the President, the processes that have been taken, where we are now, the President should be stopped.
I am wondering, I mean, at what point in the provision on the removal of the superior courts of superior justice of the courts, at what point does it stipulate that the superior court's justice must be informed before forwarding to the Council of State?
So when you look at the Constitution, there are a lot of things that the Constitution is silent on. It doesn't state explicitly when you receive it, look at it, go and give it to the person at the center or the CJ, and then when the CJ responds, then you give it to the Council of State. At all points in time, the Constitution was making reference in accordance with the Council of State. Look at it. If there's a prima facie, then you write it to the CJ come and all of that. Then the next step is a committee that is set up and all of that. So it is becoming very interesting now. A lot of people are interpreting the Constitution in their own way.
Well, that lies in the bosom of the Supreme Court, right?
And the Supreme Court has the original jurisdiction to interpret issues in relation to the Constitution when you and I have rival meanings. And I think that the same provision means ABC and you think that it means BCA, then the Supreme Court will have to be called upon in relation to that to give us the clear meaning. Whatever the Supreme Court says the meaning of that text is, it is what we all have to assess. So that is why you see a lot of constitutional issues. People will think that in relation to this particular, we want proper, better and further particulars and a proper explanation to the interpretation and all of that. So that is what Vincent, as for the Member of Parliament for Tafo, is seeking. But as we speak, no date has been given for the latest one that was filed yesterday. And it will be very interesting to know.
Yesterday, Justice Bafo Bonnie directed that all cases be brought to him. So
the suspension came on Tuesday. That was the day after the Easter holiday. Absolutely. He started his full day on Wednesday as the acting Chief Justice. And there's a statement, there's a memo that we have chanced on, Director. We can see that absolutely on your screens. And that memo was from Deputy Judicial Secretary. Is it telling you something? Deputy Judicial Secretary. In the person of...
Where is the Judicial Secretary?
Yes. We'll tell you that later.
That's a lot of interesting things.
It's something that you have to pay attention to. So this one is from the Deputy Judicial Secretary. There should be the Judicial Secretary. But this one is from Deputy Judicial. That's why I'm saying that administratively, a lot of things are happening. And at the right time, we'll tell you why the Deputy Judicial Secretary will be the one to sign this. As in the person of Syracuse Bapuro. He signed this one. And the date on it is April 23. And it is addressed to registrars of the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. And these are the superior courts, all of them. And then what is the subject? The subject is assignment of courts and fixing of the dates for newly filed cases and all newly filed applications. So
it means that a course of first suit will go to the Office of Justice Bafo Bonnie for determination of a date.
Absolutely. So it's talking about cases, filed cases, and applications. So, for instance, if you are using as a first case there's a main case which is seeking constitutional interpretation on some provision, and on top of that, he filed an interlocutory injunction, which is an application there. So he's saying that all new cases that have been filed, applications that have been filed, notify the office of the acting Chief Justice. And these are new cases. And listen to what is said. I have been directed by the acting Honorable Chief Justice to inform you that all newly filed cases and applications must be brought to his attention for assignment of courts and paneling of judges. And paneling of judges when he has to do more than Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. You know, it is the Court of Appeal that we have more than a judge. And situations at the High Court where you have more than a judge is in relation to high treason. So, for instance, the case involving ACP, Dr. Agozo, and then Dr. Ayariga and the others.
And then Bakavomo.
Absolutely. Bakavomo is a high treason. It's a treason felony. So that one is a single judge with jury. But high treason is 3 justices. So it has to. So an example like that, you need to empanel 3 judges. So at Court of Appeal, 3. When you go to the Supreme Court, the least they sit is 5, unless there is an application that has no bearing on the substantive matter.
7,
then you
9.
That one, you even see a single judge sitting to just deal with an application. We are out of time and want the opportunity to file, and then they give them extension of time. But when it has to do with constitutional matters, when they are interpreting issues, provisions in the 1992 Constitution, you need 7 at least. That's why we have 7. So at any time when the Supreme Court is sitting, the panel tells you what exactly the subject matter it's all about. And so where I got to, must be brought to his attention for assignment of courts and panel of judges where there are more than 1 court, and for the fixing of date for hearing. So you know that as a first application that he filed yesterday, there's no suspension of the Chief Justice. So GBA has responded as if I said, I'm going to the back to the Supreme Court again, and then the acting Chief Justice is saying that notify me all the cases that have been filed. You notice that he didn't make mention about the lower courts. Talk about the superior court. So this directive,
Court of Appeal,
absolutely,
and then the
Supreme Court. This directive do not affect the circuit court and the district court, but specifically to the registrars of the higher court and the superior court, High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. So we'll be monitoring the situation, all of that. Because of the Easter break, and then so this week when you go to the superior court, the action there is most of the things are being done administratively. More action really start from next week. So cases like that are being filed, then applications are being filed, and all of for that one, they are happening at this particular point in time. But for court to sit and deal with cases, especially at the superior court, then that one should be next week. But the lower court, the circuit, and then the district court are sitting in relation to that.
And then yesterday, I saw an interesting suit. The former director of the National Signals Bureau has sued the Attorney General for defamation.
Interesting one there. So Kwabena Dubuahin and the wife Angela Eji Boatin, yesterday they caused their lawyers led by Samuel Atachia to file a defamation suit at the High Court, in fact specifically the Human Rights Court. And the effect of that particular action stems from the Attorney General's maiden press conference that he had to update the nation or the press on what has become of investigation so far. In relation to this the defamation case, it is not to the office of the Attorney General, but Dr. Ayeni as a person. So let's distinguish between the two. It's Dr. Ayeni as a person, is whom this very defamation suit is directed at, not his office. Because he makes the point that, the applicant makes the point that if you look at what is happening, he went out of his role and said things about him that really defamed him. But what are the things that the applicants, Kobne Dubuahin and the wife are seeking? Let's have the artwork on the screen, and then let me tell you, he's made so many things by way of why he is seeking for those claims, why he thinks that Dr. Ayine has made certain comments about him and the wife which they think were defamatory, for which reason they have to sue him for defamation on that. So on your screens are some of the things that he has been saying in relation to what Dr. Ayini said. And the very first point that he made, that the defendant acting outside his constitutional remit as Attorney General and on a frolic of his own pronounced that the plaintiffs are criminals and fraudsters, comfortably ignoring the constitutional postulates that the plaintiffs are innocent until they are declared guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. Director, I want you to go to the last but two. I want you to go through the exact reliefs that he is seeking by way of this very action that he has filed. And in fact, in doing so, the last but one before this one, in doing so, one of the things that he made mention was to the effect that if you look at the press conference that was done by the Attorney General, he recounted all the things that took place word to word and said that was indeed what the Attorney General said to defame him. But the matter is before the court, and I will follow that keenly, and I will let you know what will be happening. So these are some of the things that are happening in the court, even though the issue of the Chief Justice is the one that a lot of people are talking about. Yes.
That have taken keen interest in. Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you, Lily.
That update from the court. That's it for court today. Let's head to the sports hall. We do apologize. We'll bring you sports chat in our subsequent editions. But let's now look at what the newspapers are reporting. We begin with the Daily Guide. Don't renew Zoomline contract. It stinks. Manasseh tells YEA boss. NACOC seizes 73 cocaine slabs bound for Netherlands. FIC probes McDan want to meet over financial transactions. Reverse Tokunu's suspension as Sifwa to the Supreme Court. 1 killed, 3 injured as soldiers open fire on mourners. The Ghanaian Times says, observing World Malaria Day, commit resources to eliminate malaria. That's according to Professor Binka. Zoomline assured of government 1.2 billion debt settlement. President launches free sanitary pad initiative to benefit 2 million girls. That's a very, very good initiative. DVLA launches national community outreach to improve service delivery. The News Center. Unified African Tech Strategy crucial to build and own its technology for a secured future, margin Saidi CEO. Samira's project helps Saboba achieve zero maternal and neonatal deaths. Congratulations to the former second lady. Valeria, the amputee, giving 1,000 other amputees new life. Please seek to block anti-galamsey Demonia Jubilee House. Okay, let's see. The Daily Graphic, free pass for 2 million schoolgirls move to restore dignity. That's according to President John Dramani Mahama. FIC probes Akunta Mining and its CEO Chairman Wontumi. Halt suspension of CJO Tafo MP tells the Supreme Court and new sanitation laws required. That's it for the Daily Graphic. And these are what the newspapers are reporting this morning. Go to your various newsstands, grab copies. Alternatively, you can log on to their various websites and read the stories, or you can simply log on to starfm.com.gh. We have a host of stories for you to read as well. My name is Lily Mohammed. I am back after this breather. And of course, the usual suspects are Today here on GHOne TV. It's now time for the weekly review. On the weekly review this morning, our usual suspects are seated. This morning, I've been joined by Kenneth J. Crunchy. He's managing editor of the Searchlight newspaper. Mohammed is managing editor of the Custodian newspaper, and our very own head of political desk here at the EIB network, Ibrahim Alassan. He's also our parliamentary affairs correspondent. He's a man who wears many, many hats, and my producer extraordinaire. Good morning, gentlemen. And he ran away. Left me this week.
Yes, and then I'm back.
It's good to have you back.
Good to be
I've not seen you in a while.
Yeah, I've been around managing myself.
You're managing, eh?
Managing.
We all become managers in this country, haven't you?
I started managing when I was about 10 years. So.
Interesting.
So
Ken, this is my first time.
This is our first time meeting. And I was making a comment to Alaji. Yes, that you people like fair ladies. Yes.
Do we?
No. GHOne likes fair ladies. It's a house policy.
It's a house policy.
Yes.
It is not.
Fair,
I mean, it's maybe it's not something that management chooses.
Fair and beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Unconsciously they do it. I know.
I'm not sure it's unconscious.
No, I think it's the beautiful ladies that rather like GHOne. So how about that? That narrative could be the beautiful ladies gravitate towards us.
Beautiful ladies gravitate towards GHOne. So hey, why not?
Good morning.
Good morning to you. It's good to see you. There are a lot of issues to unpack. Leading them is the CJ suspension and GBA's response. And there have been a lot of reactions about GBA's response. Many say that, it's much ado about nothing. But I'm wondering, the president is following a constitutional provision. What stance should the GBA take in this? This is a constitutional provision the president is following. And suspension does not mean an automatic removal. The president is at any point allowed to lift that suspension. That is also in that particular Article 146, that there's a provision at Clause 11. There's a provision like that. So are the reactions germane? Vincent Asifwa says, the Supreme Court suspend this particular suspension. Does it have merit? Let me start with you.
Well, thank you very much, and a very good morning to you and our viewers. First and foremost, with regard to this particular matter, I would like to come from it from a very far-off vantage point, holistic point.
Okay.
I think that it is time that all of us took the very conscious decision to behave well. Anybody standing from afar off, watching our country, watching us get rid of electoral commissioners, inspector generals of police, chief justices, would only come to the conclusion that we are a banana republic. Okay, how many times have you heard of the United States or the Western European countries, which we are seeking to follow, or Great Britain, or those countries, getting rid of the commissioner of police? You get into the position, you grow in the position, you retire in the position. Okay, so we should also learn to copy that culture.
But I mean, that's a common law position. We have our constitutional provision.
No, we are a common law country. We are a common law country.
But our constitution binds us.
No, our constitution binds us, yes. But generally, you would also notice that in the constitution, some positions have immunity and security of tenure. Justices of the High Court, justice of the court, they even have independence in opinion. The electoral commissioner, those people have. But the problem is that all of us have decided not to behave well.
How so?
And when you do not behave well, the Constitution also provides for means by which people who may not have behaved well can react, you see. And I think this is where we are having the problem. If you look at one of the petitions, the petition from the Commissioner of Police, he details certain things that happened to him in the Supreme Court. And from where I sit, from some of my own personal experiences, when I was unlawfully invited by the Supreme Court, abused on national television, and thrown into jail. And as I talk to you today, there's no record of that thing happening in our country, in our official records.
Really?
Oh, yes. You see, and it was done by the Supreme Court. It was done by the Supreme Court. Now, I have been in the Supreme Court. Something very interesting happens in the Supreme Court. When you get there in the morning, they have cases that they treat in a very funny way. And then when they have dealt with all those cases, then they come into cases that somebody has decided these are real cases that should come before the Supreme Court. One of those cases was the LGBT issues. One of those cases was my case against Mr. John Mama, which is still there. Okay, when I went to file the case, I paid my fees. I did everything. The lawyers on the other side entered appearance. They did everything that we had to do. All documentation was given to the Supreme Court. All addresses was done. Then something happened. The case just disappeared off the court list. You see, so these things happen in the Supreme Court. And then when they happen, and if you read a petition of the DCOP, for instance, some people, they don't forgive. Okay, when you do him, he will also reciprocate. So he saw the opportunity and he wrote the petition. And the Constitution allows that Article 1466. So for me, who constantly, because I constantly do it, constantly take advantage of some of these constitutional provisions, I am not going to fault some of the people who have taken advantage of the constitutional provisions. And then the president is bound by the Constitution. The word that is used there is shall. He is bound by the Constitution to act on these petitions. So for me, even though I tend to agree with those people, that the people who are saying that there's some type of conspiracy to get rid of, I'm not going to look at conspiracy, because these are people who are acting in the dark. What I can say is that in the books, the Constitution used the word shall. So he's acting on it. Now, my problem is that in acting upon it, he himself is acting illegally.
How?
Oh, yes. You see, the first press release that came out on 25th March said that he was referring the matter to the Council of State. Okay. At that time, what was supposed to be done at Article 146.6 was for him to form a committee. Was for him and the Council of State to get together to form a committee to look at this matter. And then the second release on this same matter from Mr. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, in the very first paragraph, it says that the president has established prima facie. The president and the Council of State has established prima facie. The Constitution does not give the President and the Council of State the power to establish prima facie. Their power under Article 1466 and 1467 is to establish a committee. You see, in our language...
But there's a Supreme Court ruling to that effect. You remember?
I'm dealing with the UK.
Okay, when you come, because this thing, I think
I'll allow you to make your point.
Yes.
So it is to establish a prima facie. His job, in my opinion, in fact, in the Constitution, is not to establish prima facie, but it is to just form a committee. Because this is what has now happened effectively. We have set up. Mr. Poorman is the head of the committee.
Yes.
We have set up the Poorman committee. And then before we set up the Poorman committee, some people wrote to the Chief Justice, or the Chief Justice wrote to some people. There was exchange of documentation and correspondence. She responded, okay, to whatever was in the petition. When a committee had not been formed, so who was requiring of her to receive the petitions and responding to her petitions and receiving her petitions? Because it's not that the committee has been formed. Who was doing that? Okay, because the person, the institution that does the investigation and come to any sort of determination is the four-man committee. So who was giving petitions out to the CJ and receiving responses from the CJ? Who was engaged in that exercise? Okay, because the limit of their power under Article 1466 is to form a committee. So in my opinion, clearly, the president is acting beyond what is available in the constitution, and that needs to be watched. I can we say that what to do anomahu, and now catch him say yakokohede. Okay, you have defended the bed, and then you bring that carcass to me and say it's a guinea fowl. You are telling the committee, your very first paragraph, you are saying that the prima facie has been established, and then you give it to the committee. Give it to the committee to do what? Is it for Mr. Portman to now come, Mr. Portman and his committee to now come and say that the declaration by the president that there was prima facie was wrong? And then the president is not a lawyer. You know, he's not a lawyer.
Yeah.
He is constitutionally mandated to be advised by a lawyer. That lawyer, in all this back and forth that has been taking place, one media organization posed the question, so it's not followed this matter very well. You have an attorney general in this country where the chief justice is under investigation. His boss is taking the decision to suspend the chief justice, and he has not really. Are you sure? Yes. Yeah, I saw that in one.
Which media house posed that question?
I saw that. I can provide it for you. I think I copied.
The Attorney General said he has not followed the matter.
Yes.
That would be strange.
Yes. I don't know. That is very strange. That is why I'm mentioning it. Okay. That would be very strange. In fact, that is strange. And then where is his input? Where is the input of the Attorney General? Did the Attorney General contribute to the decision to find prima facie? You see, when Felix Ofosu-Kwakye wrote that the President and the Council of State has established prima facie, I am asking the question, did the Attorney General contribute to that position? Because the President is not a lawyer. The Council of State is not a legal body. Okay, it's a constitutional body. So a decision that there's prima facie, it's a decision that must be taken by somebody with that training and expertise.
But the Council of State has members of the bench on it.
But the point I'm making is that it is not their purpose. The person for the purpose is the Attorney General. The institution for the purpose is the Attorney General. Did he contribute to that position? Because effectively what you have done is undermine the Poor Man Committee. It would be very strange for the Poor Man Committee, having been told by the presidency that there's a prima facie, for the Poor Man Committee to now come back.
The statement actually indicated that.
That's what I'm wondering. How
the statement indicated that the president, in consultation with the Council of State, have
established prima facie. That's the point I'm making. How is there? Because the very first paragraph opens with that, and then they announce the formation of the committee. I'm saying that now that you have announced that there's prima facie, prima facie is that you are certain in the mind of the adjudicating body that the crime has been.
Yes.
Something wrong has been done. Now it is for the person who investigated to come and establish that nothing wrong has been done. I'm saying that the president, by that declaration, acted unlawfully, unconstitutionally. You see, and when I began my presentation, I said that this whole thing is coming out about because of our decision consciously taken that we shall not behave well. When you do not behave well, it gives the opportunity to DCOP, what's the name, Yaya, and others to file these types of petitions, and then it gives the opportunity to the president,
Ayariga,
to the president to also then behave improperly, unlawfully, unconstitutionally. So all along the value chain, we are not behaving in a way.
It's ACP, not DCOP.
Okay, we are not behaving in a way that is acceptable. You go into the Supreme Court. You have filed a constitutional case. You have made the points as best as you can, and it is not easy. Standing before a panel of 9 judges, men and women, big men and women legal brains, and trying to get your point across. Okay, and then one of the judges told me that Wabon in open court, and this was reported in the media. Okay, some people they will forgive, but ACOP he will not forgive. ACP he will not forgive. You see me, my grandfather. You can do it to me 100 times, I will not complain. But some people, they will not forgive. And it is a fact that our Supreme Court, the judges, they maltreat some people who come before the court.
You should be strong as a lawyer.
No, but even after the case has been done, some of the comments that come up. You see, the last time I was there, the Office of Special Prosecutor, and I was asking for a review. Somebody was commenting on my shirt.
You should be
what about your shirt?
Oh, my brother.
Yes, that's
you see, my brother. You see, some of this commentary and the ACP, his comments, his problems are some of the comments because he believed they were extrajudicial. You had ruled, and you had ruled against him. He was there licking his wounds.
Removal of Supreme Court.
No, it does not warrant. I agree with you, it does not warrant. But when you do this to some people, they are not happy. I've been in the Supreme Court where they have ordered people to physically carry people out of the Supreme Court. You file cases. Some of the cases are very quickly heard. My case against John Mama disappears. It disappears. Tony Lita and all those people had filed everything. I had filed everything. Everything had been done. Then the case just suddenly disappears from the court list. So when we decide, I'm coming. When we decide not to behave well, it creates the room because these petitions, they are momentous decisions that people take. It is not easy for you to sit down and write a petition against the Chief Justice. But when you are sufficiently motivated, I believe that this whole thing is a political orchestration to get rid of the Chief Justice. I even believe that when the Chief Justice is gone, they shall go after Jim Mensah. But I'm saying that the decisions we have taken, if people are able to go over our record and find loopholes that they can exploit to then use as a petition, when Article 2.1 of the 1992 Constitution says that a citizen of Ghana, Article 2.1 says that a citizen of Ghana who finds something constitutionally wrong can bring a petition to the Supreme Court. And then you have the Supreme Court ruling that you, this particular person, you are barred from suing this particular Supreme Court of Ghana. It is a basis for somebody to put pen to paper and ask for 9 justices of the Supreme Court to be dismissed because they have no power to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm saying that in acting, act properly, leave less loopholes so that people will not have opportunities to petition against you for your removal. And then when the petition comes, you also act within the ambits of the Constitution.
Let me say good morning to the cherished viewers. The last time I was on this program on the same topic, I stated that this was a contrived position of President Mohammed NDC to get rid of this current CJ. And Charlie, on social media, you people did a flyer and I was speaking to cleaners. I still insist, and I stand by that comment. This is a political journey to get rid of the CJ, nothing more. Look, this is the first time in the Fourth Republic that a CJ, Article 146.10, has been triggered. This is the first time. And this is the first time that a CJ has been suspended. This is the first time in the Fourth Republic. To see that the petitions that I have seen will pass the test of prima facie for a CJ, the third arm of government, to be suspended in a manner that the president has done. I think that if anybody tells me that it's not politically contrived, then I think I'll disagree
but
with
this
that.
This is not the first time we're seeing a petition for her removal. Even before Nanado left office.
Yes, that is why, precisely so.
Professor Kwekwa, sorry.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You are reinstating, you are emphasizing what I'm saying. This is not the first time. Look, in 1995.
But if you say then, sorry to cut you, if you say it's by the NDC, Professor Kwekwa is known to be a sympathizer of the NPP, no?
It was true now. There was no even prima facie case. The committee, they determined that there was no prima. The same issues, some of the issues were repeated in these current petitions. And those were determined and disposed of as unwarranted. Now some of them have repeated. Okay. And this current chief of Council of State and the president have found favor with the same issues, getting a prima facie case. Making a prima facie case.
So that means that there's the issue of double jeopardy.
That is, in fact, the Chief Justice has, in her response, she has raised those issues in her response. And yet, those have found favor with the President and the Council of State. Look, as I was saying, in 1995, you know, the Ghana Bar Association petitioned President Rawlings to remove Justice Aban. Yes. That he was a man with a low moral standard and blah, 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 and like that. That petition was dismissed because the Supreme Court said that the action to remove a CJ and all that was not with the Supreme Court, but that it was a political matter, and President and Council of State and that they were supposed to determine. Then President Rawlings, who even came from a military background, with all the history with the judges and all that, PNDC, what they did, murder of judges and all that, he insisted that Justice Aban should stay. He didn't remove Justice Aban. Political decision. He didn't remove him. In fact, Justice Aban, if I'm not mistaken, was the one who swore in President Kufuor in 2001. Fast forward, there was a petition by somebody to remove Justice Akwa in 2006. President Kufuor simply forwarded in fact, when he received the thing, they formed a committee. A committee.
Bright Oblite.
President formed a committee. That's what I was talking about, prima facie. When the matter, the famous case of Frank GHOne, when he took the matter to the Supreme Court determined that there was no prima facie case before the committee was formed, was established, because the prima facie case has to be established. But the Supreme Court, I have not looked at where they said whether, the Constitution did not determine who should determine the prima facie case, as you were rightly saying.
Exactly.
Ken, I have not seen the Constitution who should establish the prima facie case.
Article 146.
Yes.
It's very simple. It says 1466.
Yes.
It says that the President and the Council of State shall form a committee.
Yes.
Now, I believe that if you send a petition, what they are supposed to do is for the President to consult the Council of State and create the membership of the committee.
The committee to determine whether there is a prima facie case.
And then give the whole thing to the committee.
But you see, that's why I'm saying that in the GHOne case, the Supreme Court said that there was no prima facie case before the committee was formed. In the ruling of the Supreme Court, it presupposed that there should have been a prima facie case determined before the committee. You understand the argument before the committee.
So now there's a prima facie.
I have not seen whether it is the President or Council of State that should determine.
But the Constitution does not say that. Whether the Constitution says in consultation with the Council of State. And remember, the Council of State is constituted with members of the bench on it.
Yes. In fact.
Who rose from being lawyers?
In fact, let's move away from prima facie case has been determined.
Exactly.
And the committee formed.
You see, don't just jump to the conclusion that prima facie case.
But there's a letter issued by the President. But who determined
that is why Mr. Asifwa is in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
That announcement that the prima facie case is a serious abuse of discretion.
But
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Abuse of discretion. That one is under Article 296. 296.
It's a serious abuse.
Because if you look at,
he has no power to say that the prima facie case has been established.
Can please allow him?
If you the Article 4, just a minute, viewers. Today I'm a packet lawyer. If you look at Article 14610, it says that where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may, that is, let's come to it, may, in the case of the Chief Justice, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. And then, in the case of any judicial other, okay, that is what president has acted on. It's on the advice of the Council of State that he has suspended the CJ.
So it's a
meanwhile,
it's a discretionary power.
Exactly. I am saying that even that advice is not. Supreme Court has told us that it is not binding. The advice of Council is not binding. So even if the Council of State,
it is
president's discretion.
Exactly.
Yes. So let's go to Article 296.
Okay.
Article 296. I was lectured by lawyers, so just a minute, viewers. It says that 296
exercise of discretionary
power. It says okay. I did one here.
It says, okay, let me read for you.
Read for me. Read for me. Okay, I found it.
Okay. It says, yes. That discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid.
Yes. Let me go to Article 296C, where the person, authority is not a judge. The person exercising the discretionary power. Where the person or authority is not a judge or other judicial officer, they shall be published by constitutional instrument or statutory instrument regulations that are not inconsistent with the provision of this constitution or that other law to govern the exercise of that judicial discretionary power. Constitutional instrument in our
warrant. There was a warrant. That's why in the they talk about warrants.
You see, warrant is not a CI. It's warrant a CI. I'm not a lawyer. This is a constitutional instrument that should go to Parliament and be laid for 21 sitting days. Well, I'm not. If lawyers, if you have a lawyer. Because that's my education I've gotten. Because the one.
Well, maybe the Constitution will make it.
Because I know of executive instrument. But this one is specific. It's saying that there should be a constitutional instrument. So what is it? How can you equate a warrant to a constitutional instrument? That should be laid before Parliament. All constitutional instruments are laid before Parliament. It is only executive instruments that are not. This constitutional provisions talk about constitutional instrument. So I do not see why a warrant should be equated to a constitutional instrument.
Right.
How do you call it? Layman's understanding. Because
the warrant is another legal document.
Yes.
And the provision you read is quite specific. It says, and a warrant signed under his hand.
Yes.
Don't forget that the chief law officer in Ghana is the president.
Yes.
The chief law officer.
Yes.
The point you are making is that the chief law officer in making the decision to sign the one should have come by constitutional instrument.
But that's what the Constitution is saying. He's not a lawyer. Is he a lawyer?
He's not a lawyer.
Is he a judge?
He's not a lawyer. That you may be raising a question about, once again, the missing Attorney General. But the point I'm making that
these are matters. What is the role of the Attorney General in all of this? Yes, I know that he's the lawyer in chief of the country. He's the one who.
He's actually the principal legal advisor to the president and government.
Exactly. However, in
but
the stipulations,
you were also a legal advisor at the presidency.
You were posing the question about what is the role of the Attorney General in all this. The presidency is not Mr. John Mamo. The presidency is an institution. That institution, its chief legal officer is
the Attorney
Mr. X, Attorney General. Now, the president receives a momentous document. Momentous document as a petition for the removal of the third most powerful person in the country. The wisest thing for the president to do, that institution, is to consult his chief legal officer. That is the rule.
But how do you know if he has not? But he cannot come out and say that.
If he has been consulted.
In fact, the president has a. Let me come.
If he has been consulted.
In fact, the president even has a legal advisor at the president, who is a former Attorney General of the state.
Exactly.
And he's still messing up.
If you say no, well, that's why I'm saying it is political.
He's still messing up.
I have given you chronology of attempts by, and let me come the last one. Even this current CJ. You just mentioned that a petition was Professor Adam.
Yeah.
Petition the president to, and there was no prima. In fact, all the things that were chronicled in his petition, Professor Adam's petition, were thrown out. That there was no prima facie case, and all those found way into the current, and the new people just regurgitated what was thrown out, already thrown out. So I am saying that this is the first time in Ghana's fourth republic that this has happened. It has never happened before. Even military people who have military backgrounds who became president, never. President Mills, John President Mills, when he came, there was also political pressure for him to remove Justice Georgina Wood. There was a petition. And the same way, that petition was also thrown out. And you remember this famous thing, there was a press conference by the NDC national chairman then, that there were many ways of killing a cat. And President Mills responded that he wasn't a cat hunter. So this is it. It was not going to be used to remove a president who was in charge of first arm of government, and now you will be responsible for removing a third person heading the third of government. When there is no constitution in this country, there are two institutions that stay. The two arms of government: the presidency, that's even if it is a military rule, and the judiciary. Judiciary is our last hope. Even under military rules, we have had judiciary. If you bastardize that institution, where are we heading? Now,
then we should review that clause in the Constitution, the provision in the Constitution.
In fact, this has given us a lot of, because fortunately,
the Constitution allows it.
Yes, fortunately, no, it allows it, but the presidents who see that for unity and the cohesion of this country rarely use that provision, because if you don't take it, you use flimsy excuses to remove a chief justice. Then let me come to the petitions. Yesterday, in fact, for a few days ago, I was scandalized. That's why I decided to look for. And in the petition, and communicators of NDC, I will mention it proudly, the communications officer of the National Democratic Congress, he was on network that the CJ collected money, traveled with the money, and came back. She did not retire the impress, and she chopped the money, and now she has agreed to pay back the money. And I was asking, did CJ really do that? That she went abroad with an impress, she spent the money, she didn't spend all, and she came back and she sat the money and did not retire the impress. And she was there. Then the CJ now has agreed, even because of this, has agreed to. Why would you do this? If I tell you that this is political, who should disagree with me? Nowhere meaning Ghanaian would disagree with me. When the communications officer was perpetrating, was actually pure lies. Look, this is a response on that particular issue by the CJ. Let me go to that particular. He said that this country, that federal, that this is the last thing I will do, because I will give the opportunity. We will come back. That exhibit, that. In fact, the first one was that she traveled with people, with the husband and that she was not entitled to, and not she could only travel private visit and all that when she is, even that she has to go with her security officer alone. This is the response of the CJ. The petitioner, that is, this petitioner is, I think this one is Ofori.
Daniel Ofori,
who made the allegation that alleges that as CJ misappropriated the sum of 261,890 of public funds for my private foreign travel with her husband, Mr. Francis Tokono, and my daughter, Miss Edem Tokono, when, according to him, neither person was entitled to have their travel paid for out of funds of the Judicial Service of Ghana. My humble response is that this allegation is unfortunate and truth. Please find forthwith the following evidence. Paragraph B1 provides for 2 holidays foreign travel. Provides for 2 holidays for Chief Justice in a year with travel expenses, total accommodation, and per diem to be borne by the Judicial Service and capped at 14 days per round trip. Now, Exhibit DO2, and that one is, these are the real evidence that she provided. Is a policy on foreign travels by head of the Judiciary and Superior Court judges. Paragraph A9 provides that the Chief Justice shall undertake unlimited official travels with either his or her spouse or other person of his or her choice in a year, fully funded by the Judicial Service. Don't worry.
I want to chip in there.
Yes.
There's an or there, not and.
Is it inclusive or is it?
Or it's so either or. So spouse.
No, we have. You see, if you want.
No. So
okay,
English
don't worry. Don't worry.
This is English language.
I'm reading. In fact, the reason why I'm asking this or.
So
let me tell you, the all has been this all interpretation of this all.
This is not constitutional interpretation.
It's a legal interpretation too. I remember a class of Vogue versus Asante Kotoko in a matter that was before court, and I remember vividly the former Director General of Senate. What's the name?
Ernest Thompson
was a lawyer, and this particular all was a subject of interpretation. So you don't worry. Don't worry. It said that provides that the chief. Okay, I'll move up. Paragraph 810 provides that where the Chief Justice is accompanied by the spouse or person, or he shall travel on the same class of air ticket as the Chief Justice and shall be paid the equivalent of half of the per diem paid to the Chief Justice. This has been the policy of Judicial since 2010 as amended in 2019. Please see Exhibit DO3. Now, as DO4 is respond. No, let me go to specific this one. That's 3A Exhibit DO4 further confirms that contrary to the unfortunate, that's what Sami Jemfi alleged. Unfortunate allegation that I failed to retire impress of 14,000 given to me. Viewers should listen carefully. Well, for my travel, I spent an amount of 4,411 out of the said impress and retired the remaining $9,588.2 thousand, also attached here in Exhibit DO5 in further proof of the retirement of the impress on 14th September 2023. On my second day at work, when she returned on second day at work, she retired that. Now, this is what the CJ, and it's a communication officer, sits on national radio, television, to say that she failed to, and that she has now agreed to refund this thing. And you say that, and this, he has said it across networks. And you say that if I say that this is not this political, you tell me that it is not, then there must be something wrong with your mind.
Okay. Ivy.
Well, so let's take the matters into context. Let's start from where he ended. So I agree with you that all never means and. If they wanted to put and there, I'm not sure those who put together this document.
But there's more explanation to the travel. There's more explanation.
They have a problem identifying and or. They could have said and.
Either.
You are entitled to travel. When you are going, you are allowed to be accompanied by one individual. It can be your spouse, it can be any family member.
Of your choice.
That's it. So we are here because there are many who believe, the petitioner believes that the Chief Justice did not just travel with the husband, but went with an extra person. That's the daughter. And that
was born by the state.
That's it.
That's the pettiness is too much.
No, I'm coming. So that's one. First of all,
it's petty.
First of all,
The president travels with his wife and kids and paid by the state. What is it?
Please.
I would do.
See, people.
I deliberately kept quiet throughout.
Okay, let me also keep quiet.
I had a lot to say.
I hope you are not referring to
I'm listening to Ghanaians. I'm listening to Ghanaians, especially the NDC people, because they were ministers. NDC will come out. The ministers who travel.
That is not part of the topic.
Whose wives from this current government?
Let somebody put it.
There's a process to remove or impeach a minister.
Exactly.
You are aware. So petition. There's a process. There's a process to removing a president. Go ahead, trigger it. There's no problem. So here's the thing. First of all, the conversation as if the chief justice has been removed is very unfortunate. And it must be condemned. The chief justice has not been removed. It's a good reason why they say these processes must be held in camera, and the allegations are not even supposed to be made public. There's a good reason, and that's because tomorrow, after the Justice Foreman Committee clears Justice Gertrude Araba is about Tokono. These conversations we are having about allegations will not be in the public domain to still be hanging on her neck even as a Chief Justice.
Exactly.
That's the brain behind the provision that everything pertaining to the removal of the Chief Justice must be held in camera and it must not be made public. Now, there's a process towards the removal of a president. That's public. It can be done in parliament, impeachment, public. There's a process towards impeachment of a minister, public. Because it involves political actors. The Chief Justice is not a political actor. At least he's not supposed to be. That office is not supposed to be a political office, right? So, for some strange reason, her responses and the petitions have been leaked. And I think from where I sit, I know what this is meant to do, right? But unfortunately, it could be counterproductive. Now, per the article, and he references it, as to whether the president needs a constitutional instrument or an executive instrument or a warrant. The Constitution is clear and ambiguous. It talks about a warrant. And here's the thing, let me read it for you. It says the 10, that's 14610. Talk about where the petition has been referred to a committee under this article. The president may, A, in the case of the Chief Justice, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. Now guess what? When it comes to 11, it says the president may at any time revoke the suspension under this article.
Discretionary.
Oh no, that's the point. You are talking about an executive instrument. I'm saying that the Constitution talks about a warrant, and that's exactly what has been issued. The president can today, as we sit here, say that I've revoked that warrant. Justice Tokonu can go ahead and then serve as a Chief Justice. Right. Now, the committee has been formed. The argument about the prima facie, it came from the Supreme Court. I agreed with the submissions of Uncle Ken that we didn't need any prima facie because the Constitution didn't state that. But then there was an argument about law of natural justice that do not continue with this process until you have heard from the subject matter. In this case, the Chief Justice, who would directly be affected one way or the other by the outcome. And so the Chief Justice on her own wrote to the President asking that she be furnished with these petitions. And that's because we are learning that when Professor Goku Asare sent his petition, a copy was forwarded to the Chief Justice and Akufo-Addo. So it was after Chief Justice's response that the President then determined in the consultation with the Council of State, because I spoke to Sam Okujetu in Parliament on this, and he had indicated that there were no basis for such petitions, and that in the coming days we were coming to hear from the President. And subsequently we did. The President then dismissed the petition without even putting together a committee. There are many legal brains who disagree with that process, that allowed the committee to come and say that we found nothing reasonable.
At what point was prima facie case determined?
I'm coming.
At what point? You agree on one part that the President Mahama has done something, nothing wrong with prima facie case, and another thing.
Article 146 is quite clear.
That's the point.
So the point he's making is that the procedure Akufo-Addo used was wrong.
That's what many people, legal minds, are arguing.
Then
let me land. Is it if I land, you understand?
The law is the law. The provision has stipulated clearly.
It doesn't talk about prima facie, and that's a fact. Now, the Supreme Court has a judgment, and the judgment is that do not proceed until you have heard from the woman or the man who is the subject of this petition.
Now, before you have heard from, is it the committee that does that or the president that does that?
That's where the argument comes in, that they're saying that let the committee hear from the man or the woman in question, the Chief Justice, right?
In this case,
but here's the catch. But here's the catch. Before the committee can hear from the man or the woman, the president is equally close to the power to suspend the Chief Justice. And that's where many argue that no, before you trigger that provision, before you trigger that provision that allows you to suspend me, hear from me, right? So logically, there is a case there to be made. So the processes were followed. You heard the presidency say that the day that the Chief Justice wrote to be furnished with these petitions, the Council of State had given clearance, green light, for these petitions to be forwarded to the Chief Justice anyway. I sat on this same chair and told you that those arguments might have been premature, because there's no way any determination could be made on the status of the Chief Justice without the system hearing from her. And eventually, she was heard from. Then the Council of State, mind you, and I agree with the argument you made that the Council of State has lawyers. There's a reason why they say a former Chief Justice should serve on the Council of State. There's a reason. You see, many people say this constitution was written by market women and what have you, right? But every day, day in, day out, when you pick the provisions of our constitution, you see that although this be madness, there's method to it. You see, every provision had the reasoning behind it, that a Chief Justice should serve on the Council of State. So, if in this case there's a prima facie case to be determined between the president and then the Council of State, the president will not be short of legal advice. From the presidency to the Council of State, there will not be shortage of legal advice. And so, if per the judgment of the Supreme Court, the prima facie case will be established, and these two bodies, the presidency, the Council of State, they are saying that we have established it. That, and what is prima facie? So there's a gentleman who is a lawyer who says he was not done rightly by the Chief Justice and makes a number of allegations, including being incarcerated wrongfully. He makes that argument, right? And being called out in open court.
Legal procedures to deal with this.
Listen to me. So he has made those claims. What is wrong with a committee saying that? See, there's a need for us to ask for evidence, because now the Chief Justice has responded. The man has made his claims. There's a reason why the committee will say that. Bring your evidence. Bring your evidence. Let's scrutinize them. That's what prima facie is about. That there are questions to be answered, and those questions should be asked by a committee. How is that wrong? How is that wrong? Because Uncle Ken even said that as we speak, and as
many think that maybe this gentleman, could have gone to the court on malicious prosecution.
Are we saying that the route is using is unconstitutional? If that's the argument, no problem.
No, it is constitutional.
Exactly. So you cannot point to
you are saying that the manner that the president has acted is unconstitutional.
No, that you can equally say.
He had no business saying that prima facie had been made.
That argument can be said and can be made, and the court will be allowed to determine that. That's why many people are in court as we speak. But the point I'm making is that there are many, and I think I agree with that school of thought, that the word "shall" means "shall." Just as
the word "may."
Exactly, may is discretionary. Shall is mandatory. No two ways about that. At the point we were told, when Salvatore Soy was to be removed, that the presidency will serve as a conveyor belt. And I'm quoting. Conveyor belt means you just carry and forward without tinkering with anything, right? No. See, they are all constitutional bodies. They are constitutional bodies. When it suits them, they say that. See, we are all talking about removal of people in office, and provisions are made. Let me land.
There's a procedure in removing how you remove a CJ.
We know that. I don't think we know that.
I don't think we know that. It is all in the constitution. But the constitution, nobody's above anybody.
Exactly. Uncle Ken talked about removal of even IGPs, right? Heads of bodies, right? And that's the point. That we are talking about this being the very first. Yes, Salvatore was the very first. We have never been there, right? But that was the head of a constitutional body processes triggered. Presidency served as conveyor belt, transmitted to the CJ, the Chief Justice, right? Fortunately, the Chief Justice is at the Council of State today. So Yakufu constituted the body. The body then established prima facie, invited her, she defended herself, her defense could not hold water. She was dismissed. The committee has now been established. The unfortunate thing is that we are behaving as if the woman has been found guilty already. She's not. She's not. It's not even in her interest. It's not in the interest of democracy for us to conclude that the suspension means she's heading home and then she's not coming back. She has her defense, fortunately, and she has evidence. She's forwarded to the presidency. She will forward same to this committee. The committee will sit on this and then be able to clear, though we know that those petitions were without basis. That's the beauty of democracy. As for the politics, oh yes, allow the politicians to play that. That from day one, the Chief Justice was going to be removed. Yes.
But don't you think they have a point? Because there's been commentary even prior to election 2024.
Well, that's why members of the committee, right? We have 2 justices from the Supreme Court, right? We have 3 other individuals. And aside that, the courts and their mandates have equally been triggered. There are people in court. If the Supreme Court today returns a verdict that everything that has transpired with the process is unconstitutional, we go with that. See, I'm saying that we have enough checks in this country to ensure that the processes are not abused. But I agree with Uncle Ken that when we are holding public office, we should conduct our businesses in such a way that there will not be loopholes for anybody to exploit. Because the politicians will exploit it. And it will not end here. See, from now on, I'm sure the political actors are aware that when a new government comes,
another process may be triggered.
The occupants of these offices will have questions to answer. That's what our democracy has become of. And let's internalize that fact, accept that fact, and move along. Because there are many who argue and believe. And Professor Raymond Atuguba wrote a book about this. Political cases and how they are determined at the Supreme Court. He was not allowed to put this book out because of the implications. I understand.
It was a research. It was a research.
But the research
are published.
Yeah. No, he didn't publish it.
That's the point. I'm saying that he was stopped from publishing.
Who stopped him?
Nobody stopped him. No, he was asked to. I remember that case very well. He was even challenged to provide evidence of some of the allegations.
The point is that he didn't publish his research
because he was stopped.
When I say he was stopped, I mean by the system, because there were many who said it was going to put our system in jeopardy, our judiciary in jeopardy, and those arguments were advanced.
Okay, Ivy.
Right.
Okay.
The point I'm making is that occupants of public office carry your responsibilities and your duties in a way that these political hawks could not exploit the loopholes. What did Kandapa say as National Security Advisor? That there was a genuine perception that the government of the day wins every case that is sent to the Supreme Court. And as far as security is concerned, that was not helpful. What did that tell you as ordinary Ghanaian? Perceptions are very important.
Absolutely.
So, therefore, office holders, carry your duties and your activities in a way that many people would not believe that you are tilting towards one way or the other. But in the end, democracy will...
I just have a minute for the rebuttal, so you can use that.
You see, as he insists, this is the warrant or whatever is a discretionary power. It's a discretionary power.
Yes,
look, where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may.
Yes.
I am saying it's discretionary.
Yes, we agree.
And the use of exercise of that discretionary is determined by Article 296. That's my argument.
Okay.
It's determined. How to use that discretionary power is determined by Article 296.
You should qualify the may by the warrant.
Yeah.
Qualify the may by the warrant. This in one sentence. It says may in the warrant signed by him.
Exactly.
I am saying that may is...
Just a moment. Just a moment. You see, when a law has specified the specific way of doing things, you don't go to the general side. The 296 we are referring to is
a general.
It's a statute of...
This is constitution.
This one says that this is a specific way you do by him, in the warrant signed by him. I think that that argument is
fine. That's fine. But I'm saying that the reason why I'm saying this is still discretionary. That the president could have chosen that he will not suspend.
Oh yes. Well, it is discretionary.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I am saying that
it is a discretion. Yeah.
It's a discretionary power.
I am saying that my argument is that it's a discretionary power that he has exercised that has not been exercised before under this constitution. Even though from 1993 to 1995, there been attempts for presidents to suspend or remove president. No president has fallen into this trap, and this president has actually set this record.
Let's talk about Akunta mining.
Just briefly, Akunta mining, we will deal with it. It's a running issue. Briefly, this thing about a Supreme Court judge sitting with a panel of judges, taking a decision, and that decision is hung on the Chief Justice.
On one of them.
One of them that see, because I have had experience of reporting in court. And all of us do. We have. He is a lawyer. And worldwide, you see the banter between judges and lawyers. It happens all the time. And sometimes the way they will even speak with you, you think that you are offended. But that's a practice. That's what, if you think that somebody has done something that has injured your reputation, you think that that's much enough. When there are provisions in this constitution where you can seek remedies, and that warrants removal of CJ.
I think that with that aspect, there is an almost blanket bar provided by the constitution. You cannot the word is
decisions of the court.
When the court sits and they take decisions, they have absolute protection.
Immunity.
Okay.
They have absolute protection.
Okay.
So for that, I mean, if they issue a report and they say that for decisions that they took on the bench, they are going to make the CJ responsible for decisions that was taken by the bench, I would find that very strange because the constitution is absolutely clear on that. I believe that going forward, we should ensure, because if we are not careful, this step that we are embarking on, the next time there's a change of government,
then we will have to fall on the precedent.
And then this issue of the Supreme Court, the government always winning and everybody, the judges themselves should realize that it does not bode well for them. And recently there was a decision about LGBT. In Ghana, we are all, including me, offended by the practice. But the decision that was given by the Supreme Court, constitutionally, is an aberration.
But there's a remedy.
There's a remedy. I agree with you. There's a remedy. But the decision that was given by the Supreme Court is constitutionally an aberration. So when we bring matters to the Supreme Court, we are not looking for a painful move.
You're looking for the
we are not looking for Ghana Nyansa for Nedoma Kogu Baby say Munchle Nyansa. We are looking for interpretation of law. So if you are sitting there and you cannot look at the law direct in the face, and you are going to look at so-called cultural values and this and abuse the rights of Ghanaians, please get off the bench.
Okay, let me take. I'll
come back. I want to speak more.
Get off the bench.
You can give me just 1 minute.
I need to take a break here. Let me take a quick break. When I come back, we'll continue our discussions and then dovetail into our Akunta mining. I'm Lily Mohammed. The usual suspects are still seated. Kenneth J. Crunchy, Audu Muhammad, and Ibrahim Alassan. We're talking about constitutional matters, especially on the suspension of the Chief Justice, the constitutional provisions, and then the reactions thereof of it. But let's talk about Akonta mining. Akonta mining has been in the news lately. It's been in the news for quite some time now. In 2022 it was in the news, in 2023 it was in the news, and in 2025 it is back in the
2013 it was in the news.
Yes, as far back as 2013, but a lot of people may have forgotten.
Yeah.
The recent ones that garnered a lot of public attention was in 2022, and then in 2023, and then now in 2025, where the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has asked the Minerals Commission to revoke the license of Akonta Mining. Akonta Mining says, "I have not perpetrated any illegality." The Financial Intelligence Center has gone ahead to freeze the accounts of the owner of Akonta Mining, Chairman Wontumi Bernard H. Boesiako. IB,
well,
London, let me start with you.
So this week has been very, very, very busy. Right? So you blink and then you lose out.
I tell you, yes, the moment you bat an eye.
Yes. And so from the sector minister directing the Minerals Commission to revoke the license of the company, to Minerals Commission then saying that there's nothing to revoke. We never issued any license in the first place, right? And so whatever activity that the company was engaged in was an illegality. And then yesterday FIC follows up with the directive to the banks to freeze the account. I've heard that the company and its owner are yet to be directly written to by the FIC. But of course, they've gotten correspondence from the banks that indeed their accounts have been frozen. And per what we gather, there might be some arrests to follow after this. So I think this is where I think the political class should come together and agree that if we're a politician, stay clear of mining. Where we've gotten to, I think there's a need for us to even make a law that bars politicians from directly engaging in mining. It will be helpful. Because really, there's a very thin line between genuine mining and illegal mining. You can have a genuine concession, right, and engage in illegal mining on that same legal concession. And that's unfortunately what's happening. So the concession is legally acquired, but activities on that concession illegal. Now, I think we've all been asking for the campaigns behind whatever illegal operations that are affecting our environment, our water bodies to be dealt with. But it must be done through the rule of law. I've heard Andy Appiah-Kubi, who is a lawyer for Akonta Mining, speak. And you can tell that they are ready with their defense. And to me, that's good. We've been here before. I think sometime before 2016, some military men stormed the concession of Akonta Mining, burnt down excavators and many other equipment. The case traveled to the courts. There were some judgment that occasioned as a result. Thankfully, nobody's equipment have been burnt today as we speak. And so if there is any remedy to be sought in the court, it will not be as a result of, say, damages. So, yes, the legal system must be allowed to take its course. But if indeed there are campaigns funding the illegal galamsey activities, it must not stop with Chairman Wontumi. Yeah. All of them must be dealt with, because the wanton dissipation of our environment, the destruction of our environment, the pollution of our water bodies, and the impunity with which they were doing it. Have a look at the Aberwani Nkrai case. Really, I'm not sure we've taken our time to properly appreciate what they were doing. So there is a forest reserve, and I grew up by a forest reserve, so I understand clearly what it means to have a forest reserve. It's a no-go area where the flora and the fauna is allowed to grow. It provides a belt, it's a shield to all of us. So there's a forest reserve manned by the Forestry Commission and its officials. People went into the forest reserve, cut down all the trees in the middle, right? And established a community there. and they were engaged in illegal mining. Excavators, bulldozers, what have you. And guess what? They had access to electricity. They had access to water. And it's a community, Abruan Incline, to wait. When you come to Accra, there are no old women because of the living conditions here and how enlightened we are. So even the old woman looks like a young lady for you. And that's what, and that community did not spring up yesterday. It had been there.
It's been a gradual thing. It's been building.
And it had to take the armed forces to go there and destroy everything. And now people are wailing and weeping. And you want me to have empathy or sympathy for you? No. First of all, that's an illegal activity. Not just the Galamsey activities. Cutting down trees in the forest reserve is punishable by law. And you can go to jail for it. You've done all that and established a community. And that's it. So the Galamsey fight is not a fight that we think should be treated with kid gloves. So if there is any move to sanitize the system, why not? But like I said, it must not start and stop with Akunta mining. Engineer Kenneth Asbe and his people, they petition virtually everybody that there is to petition about illegal activities of mining firms, including Akunta mining. Nothing had been done. But like I said, if there's an allegation of illegality and you are not engaged in anything illegal, just as we've been told by Akunta mining, the best place to sort this out will be the courts.
Absolutely.
So let's see how that plays out.
I'll do.
Yes. I wish I had time to. We have moved on to. I'm interested in the first topic. There's a lot to talk about, and one day we need to come back and talk about this citing, consistent citing of Charlotte Osei as an example to remove the current CJ. We should come.
No. Whatever you have to say about that, say that. See, allow him to say. What do you have to say about that? You think that Charlotte Osei's removal was not the first in our history?
No, I didn't say that.
But that was the point I made.
No, you didn't. He said, you see, I've even heard former Supreme Court judges say that if Charlotte Osei was removed, why should a removal of CJ be something different?
But the Constitution.
No, don't worry. I think that we don't have time for to go into the matters, and we'll go into Charlotte. I'm hearing that she may even be appointed as a Supreme Court judge, and we'll cross the bridge when we
get there. Absolutely, let's
get there, because I think that she may have to patch herself with those things before.
Okay.
Fortunately, she will have to face the appointments committee.
So, if the president so chooses to nominate her, look, Akunta mining is a brief matter. The government has accused Akunta mining of mining in the forest reserve. Mind you, Akunta mining is a large-scale mining firm. It's not a small-scale mining firm. Good. Owned by a Ghanaian. There was a document giving permission for some companies to mine, to prospect in the forest reserves. So as we said, Akunta mining has denied mining in the forest reserves. And as you rightly said, the best place to do it is the law court. Now, when this current Minister for Lands and Natural Resources spoke in Parliament, he said about 44% of our forest reserves have been destroyed by mining activities. Now, Akunta mining is known. He's a political figure. He's a chairman, Ashanti regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party. He's outstanding. He's a politician, so he's well known. I am not sure that Akunta mining destroyed the 44% of our forests. I am not sure. I am not sure, even if he has, I'm not sure he destroyed Akunta mining alone, destroyed the 44% of the country's forest reserves. Where are the others? They are not caught. They are not known. They are not caught because they are not known, because they are not politicians. That's what we are saying. Anybody, including a politician who has done something illegal, the state must deal with the person. But let's do it in a manner that will not be perceived to be politically motivated. This matter, I have nothing more to say. The Akunta mining has its lawyers, and those things will be challenged in court. his accounts, the accounts of the company have been frozen. The accounts of the owner, to me, have also been frozen because of this. He's the only person who is known to be mining in the forest, and therefore they've gone after him. That is good enough. I think that we are making a headway. Let's go on and do what is right for this country.
Okay.
You see, when John Mahama was coming to power, he spoke about resetting. It had been my sincerest hope that the resetting would mean something different. Unfortunately, this cycle of political persecution of political opponents, because if Kofi Amabua of NDC walks into a business owned by Shema Wontumi of MPP, and these types of effects come out, the only conclusion I'm going to get is that Kofi Amabua has power and Shema Wontumi, unfortunately, no longer has power.
Wields power.
You see, if that was what we wanted to achieve, we could have gone about it in such a way that the political ramifications were lessened. Now, there is a Akonta mining company, and then there are the shareholders of
Board of directors.
No, shareholders of Akonta mining company. Yes. In law, there are two and different and distinct entities. So, when you want to deal with Akonta mining, deal with Akonta mining. But you don't overreach and say that after you have dealt with Akonta mining company, you are a financial intelligence center. So you are also going to seize the shareholders' resource, unless you can lead evidence to say that whatever was being done was, you see, so this thing that the so-called financial intelligence center is sitting in this country doing and is being allowed to do, is doing and is being allowed to do, they have frozen the accounts of Bill's microcredit because they heard on social media that he celebrated the birthday. They don't just freeze the company assets, they go after the shareholders and management. This thing, that so-called financial intelligence center, Magdan, they have frozen the company.
No, they have not.
They have not.
That's why he's not frozen.
This thing they are doing.
Okay. They've written to him.
Yes.
No, the Financial Intelligence Center.
It will be frozen.
The Financial Intelligence was set up post 9/11. Its primary purpose, and in fact it is in their law, was to help track funds that go primarily to fund terrorism. But they have become a major anti-business, anti-rich. You know, when you have money and the Financial Intelligence Center hears that you have money, their immediate conclusion, what we are trying to
the CEO of the the CEO
now, I don't know.
Kojo Chumbafo.
What we are trying to create in this country.
Exactly. He doesn't take the ultimate decision.
What we are trying to do in this country. What we are trying to do in this country is to create men and women. To create men and women of substance who can create institutions like the one I am presently seated in, so that in this room alone, if I'm not careful, I can see at least 7 people who will get gainful salaries at the end of the month. So I become extremely worried when you have an institution.
Let me quickly read something to you. It says the FIC is the National Center for the Receipt and Analysis of Suspicious Transaction Reports and other information relevant to predicate offenses of money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing, and to disseminate actionable intelligence to competent authorities.
That is their work.
So suspicious transactions.
Exactly.
Suspicious transactions. I'm saying that Akonta mining is a distinct body in law from its component shareholders. Okay, I'm saying that. As we sit here, I doubt that you will ever be provided with evidence that Akonta mining, whatever funds were being used in there, was funds used for terrorism. I'm saying that the primary purpose for setting up the FIC was to track finances of terrorism. Later, money laundering and all those things. But I have great doubt that even as we sit here, it will be established that Akonta mining was engaged in money laundering.
Okay.
So this thing they are doing, this is where your Article 296 comes in. It's complete abuse of discretion. We should all together, in fact,
I thought that every discretion, Article 296 should be used in every discretion. Discretionary power.
I believe and I support anybody who says that people who go into forest reserves to go and mine should be found guilty and shot.
I agree. Shoot to kill.
Yes, yes. I believe I agree with that. But I'm saying that even if
you cannot do it right now.
Even if that is the case, even if that is the case, we should also work to protect ourselves from arbitrariness.
Okay.
You do not get up in the morning, drive all the way to Tamale, go and catch the director or whatever, CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital, say that I have dismissed you, I have brought my new CEO. It is arbitrary, it is not resetting.
It is what?
But
it is upgrade.
The Supreme Court has made a ruling on that.
It is an upgrade.
The Labour Act is there. The Supreme Court is giving it its own.
It is not resetting.
In LLC versus.
It is not resetting. And you see, you see, I want to. Before you go ahead, I want to give a small advice. I want to give a small advice to my brother Ibrahim. A few months ago, my brother Awudu was on.
These are indigenous businesses.
You see, these are matters. You people, one day, what you are doing, you open Pandora's boxes. So, look, the reason why I wanted to speak about the first issue more was that.
My time is up.
Yes, okay, that's fine. That's fine. You see, Akonta mining. You were talking about no people should be shot when they go into the forest. Right now, you cannot do that because there's an existing law. And that law, in opposition, President Mahama, his people said they were going to repeal it. What is happening?
I wasn't not John who said you allow galamsey all over the place.
They said they will repeal it. Now they are talking about amendment. They are talking about amendment.
Mr. Mahama went around communities promising that you allow galamsey.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today.
That's it
for the breakfast with
no,
Kenneth AJ.
I have no tears for him.
Ready to get for the specialized newspaper. Mahama is the managing editor for the Custodian newspaper. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is the head of political desk here at the EIB network. My name is Lily Mohammed. After this break, we'll get to discuss the National Apprenticeship Program. Mind you, in the premier budget of this administration, 300 million cedis has been allocated for this. If you're a young person out there, this should excite you. So stay tuned in. To the show, this is still J today here on GHOne TV. In the premier budget of the NDC administration and the allocations, 300 million cedis was allocated for the National Apprenticeship Program. Mind you, prior to the 2024 elections, President Mahama on several campaign platforms stated that the NDC was going to launch a National Apprenticeship Program. But what does it entail? For you out there as a young person, what is in it for you? How different is this from a previous one launched by the Eswal administration? My guest this morning is the CEO of the National Youth Authority, Osman Ayariga, Esquire. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you again.
Thank God. You're looking very beautiful. I'm sure an apprentice did your hair. Or an apprentice did your clothes.
Actually, my clothes too. My dress was made by an apprentice.
Yeah, so if not an apprentice, I'm sure a master craft person did it. So you see why we should be talking about apprenticeships today. So
it's very important. So let's talk about the program. What is it about? What does it entail? National Apprenticeship Program. I just decide that, okay, one day I want to go and learn a craft, and then I walk into any mastercraft shop, and then government will support me. Is that what this is all about?
Yes, thank you very much, Lily. Good morning to you, and good to go into the field of tech and also into the field of agriculture, and that is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is seeking to do. So when we talk about startup, it's not just any kind of business, but mostly
primarily STEM.
Yes, primarily STEM.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. So that has to do with the GHOne project, and that will be implemented by the NEIP, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. And in addition to that, too, we also stated that we're going to launch what we call the National Apprenticeship Program, and this is a program that will be launched by the Ministry of Youth, which will be implemented by the National Youth Authority. The president will be there on Wednesday, the 30th of April. UDS Auditorium, Tamale Campus, the multi-purpose UDS Auditorium in Tamale Campus on Wednesday, 10 a.m. So if you are within the Tamale municipality or enclave or its environs, I would entreat every young person out there who wants to be trained in one model or the other to make it a point to be there on the 30th of April at 9:30 a.m. We should be seated by 9:30 a.m. because the president will arrive at 10 a.m. for the program to start. And it's going to be a very short program, maximum 2 hours. We should be done launching the program so that we can get to work. So key amongst the issues that came up during the 2024 campaign had to do with youth unemployment. Now, when we talk about youth or graduate unemployment, there are many sects to it. We have graduate unemployment. That means that you are out of school, you have an education, but you are unemployed. Now, we have not in school and not employed. And we have not trained and not employed. We have not in school, not in training, not skilled, and not employed. So meaning that you don't have any form of training, you don't have any form of education, you don't have any form of skill, yet you are youth and you are you are unemployed. These are the kind of or caliber of persons that we seek to train through the National Apprenticeship Program. So we look at people who are not in training, people who are not in education, people who are not skilled, and people who are also not employed. So the National Apprenticeship Program is going to look at as many young people who want to learn one training or the other. Example, as this morning I spoke about your dress, how beautiful it was looking. I spoke about your hair, I spoke about your nails, and all these have master craftsmen, have apprentices who will be trained to go through these various models. So we're going to have the entry level and also have the exit level. Because we are not interested in just training people so that at the end of the day, we have unemployed trained apprentices or unemployed graduated apprentices. No, it's not just for the fact that we just want to train people and for them to exit. We're looking at how we're going to get the entry level, train people, and at the end of the day also set them up. Or they can be self-set themselves to be able to employ, also train people and also employ some apprentices. So we're going to have the entry level, where after the 30th of April, we're going to have the forms at the various MMDCE's offices at almost every district. And for those who cannot walk there to pick the forms, it will also be online on the website of the National Youth Authority, www.nya.gov.gh. You can go there and you download it after the launching of the program. Then once you Once you fill the form, we go through the vetting process. We go through the programs or the models that you have selected that you want to be trained. Then you're given a master craftsman within the environs or within the area where you want to be trained. And that master craftsman trains you, the apprentice, depending on the length or duration of the program. Some programs may last 6 months, some programs may last 12 months, some programs may last 18 months. But we're looking at programs that do not go beyond many years, because once it goes beyond many years, then it ceases to be an apprenticeship program. Then you're either going for a degree or you're going for a diploma. Yes, because an apprenticeship program should last maximum 1.5 years, considering the type of training or the type of program that you're learning. Once you graduate, as for learning on the job, every model, every training, every day we are learning new things. In fact, in fashion design, every day they are learning new things. In journalism, every day you're learning new things. So once you graduate, the self-learn is on your own, but we will continue to have learning on the job seminars to help many young people. Now, you're hooked onto a master craftsman. The master craftsman trains you as you get along with the master craftsman. So before you're actually hooked onto the master craftsman, NYA or government of Ghana would provide you with the necessary tools to begin the program with your master craftsman. Now, ordinarily, what happens in our various localities is that you look for a master craftsman, you pay the master craftsman, and you buy your tools, which are sets of equipment that you need to start with. So government this time around is going to get you the set of equipment. Government is also going to pay your master craftsman for training you. So this is the incentive for the master craftsman.
Are they also going to get allowances during the training?
Yes, we are coming to that. Okay. In the local panel, say they are barbering your hair, you are touching there. So yes, once you are hooked onto the master craftsman will be paid for training you. Because ordinarily you are going to pay that money to the master craftsman. So government of Ghana this month is going to pay the master craftsman to train you. Now, in order not to have many dropouts, two strategies have been taken in place. The first one has to do with the allowance system. You'll be given some stipends to help you commute from your home to your workplace or to your learning center. But those stipends are not going to be much. Otherwise, by the time you realize we're going to have career apprentices, where someone just feels comfortable being an apprentice and not actually wanting to learn the job, but just interested in taking the money and thinking that, okay, the money can actually take care of me for 1 month and not go through the training.
Is the allowance determinant on the proximity of wherever you're learning? Okay.
Yes. And we're trying as much as possible not to let people go beyond a certain radius. So we will not pick someone from Accra to go to Boko or Boga to go and learn the trade. No. We will not take someone from Kumasi to Accra. No. So if you live in maybe Accra, Osu, and you want to learn, we look for a master craftsman who is within the same Accra also, that may actually be a walking distance or very cheap in terms of transportation or to commute. So it's going to be tailored towards your geographical location, towards your society or towards your environment. Now, in addition to that, so as to reduce the rate of dropouts, we're going to have the guarantor system where someone is going to guarantee that, so maybe either your pastor or your imam or your member of parliament or someone high in society we can hold to as responsible. So once you're going through the training, the person guarantees that, okay, my ward, Mr. A or Madam A or Mr. B will go through the training. If at a point in time, if not for health reasons or reasons beyond your control, the person drops out, whoever guaranteed will be forced to pay whatever money we spent on you, the beneficiary, plus interest.
Okay. So now people will not get away with.
Yes, because it's not my money, it's government money, it's everyone's money. So if government money has been allocated to you, an individual, to train you to become responsible and also become employable or to reduce the graduate unemployment or youth unemployment, it's not for you to just come and take the allowance and drop out and run away. Whoever guaranteed, and this will be an advice to people who will be guaranteeing, whoever guaranteed for you, even if the person drops, you're liable. Even if the person drops at the 11th hour and doesn't continue, and we check the reasons and it's not any reason beyond the person's control or any health grounds, you, the person who guaranteed, you pay that money plus interest, because those monies could have been used to invest in another person's learning curve. So So this is what we're going to do. So you realize that people who will guarantee would actually press upon their beneficiaries to make sure that they actually end the program or go through the program, actually learn the program. Now, once you're done with the learning of the program or the graduation, there's also the exit strategy. Once you're exiting, government once again will give you the basic toolkit for you to go out and start your own business. Now I'll give you the basic toolkit, and for those who may want to set up themselves, maybe it's a kiosk, maybe it's a shop, the government will also find some stimulus package for you to go out and set up on your own. Those who may want to work in industry too, government will identify industry, because by then we have already trained you and you are ready for the job market. Government will identify industry and help you go out there. For example, maybe somebody comes to learn catering. The person doesn't really want to set up a catering or a restaurant or a shop or a kiosk to sell food. The person wants to maybe work in industry or the hospitality industry. So once we've already trained you and we have that database, government will look for that industry and set you up. Now, the training is not just the hard technical training. We're also going to look at soft skills training, because these days, beyond just you being able to sew a very beautiful dress like this, it's up to you. How can you market it? How are you able to reach out to many people?
Leveraging.
How are you going to leverage on technology? So we're going to teach them the soft skills in terms of technology, in terms of social media. How do you market your products? How do you even take beautiful pictures? How do you get yourself abreast with contemporary designs? How are you able to have human relations? How are you able to convince people? How are you able to keep your books? How are you able to keep records? How are you able to be able to analyze the situation to know that, okay, setting up a shop is going to help me. Actually sewing in my father's veranda is what is going to help me. You know, we will train you through all these software. So it's a whole package. It's not just, we are not just interested in training numbers and letting you come out and say that government has trained 100,000 people. Whilst at the end of the day, those 100,000 people you have trained, what is the exit? What are they doing out there? So we are training people, so at the end of the day, we can still monitor and make sure that those people that we have trained are on the job market and no longer belong to the unemployed youth or unemployed
Is this, I mean, in talking about the people, the guarantor system, will this also not be an avenue for politicians to take advantage? For instance, so if I have a certain party color and I'm not in good terms with my MP, then he may not be able to guarantee for me. Yeah, if there's no pastor who is willing, because obviously he will bear the cost if I leave. So the pastor does not think that, oh, he will be able to bear for me, or an imam. And then the MP may be the person available. Is this not going to be an avenue for that?
Yeah, I mean, for the guarantor system, it's not just MP or imam. You can have your chief, you can have a recognized person in society. For someone to guarantee, it's just for us to know that when we don't find you or you are nowhere to be found, there's someone we can hold on to. So it may actually be your parent who is of a certain level in society, or your uncle who is of a certain level in society. For a guarantor system, it's just for us to be able to identify. A person could actually be a civil servant, because as for civil servant, we will know where to find you. Yeah, so it should be someone that we can actually find and know that, okay, this is Mr. A, he guaranteed for this beneficiary. So at the end of the day, if the person elopes or doesn't complete the project, we can be able to hold on to the person. So it's not just about the MP or someone. And someone can guarantee, and the person, it's not a political color program. Irrespective of your political coloration, whether you are NDC or MPP, the National Apprenticeship Program is here to help the youth of Ghana who are unemployed, who are not in training, who are not skilled, and who are not educated. So whether you are NDC or MPP, unemployment has no political color. Hunger has no political color. So it's open to everyone who is willing and ready. His Excellency GHOne Mohammed has said that he's here to reset Ghana. So once we are resetting Ghana, whether I belong to NDC or I belong to MPP or I belong to my brother's party, the APC, or I belong to GCPP, once you are a youth, you are unemployed, you are not in training, and you want to be trained under the National Apprenticeship Program, our doors are wide open for you. So as for the guarantors,
how different is this from what the YEA is doing with the youth, tackling youth unemployment?
Yes, so the YEA, basically they have a mandate, and their mandate is to look for employment for young people. And that is why you realize that most of the industrial giants who want to go through some employment or want labor, they go through the YEA. So that is a youth employment agency that deals with, so they are able to get the slots that are available for young people and connect young people who actually want the slot. So it's like a plug and play. But at the NYA, we do both training, we do skills development, we are in charge of everything youth, even the mental health of the youth, we are in charge of the mental health of the youth. So everything that has to do with the youth, we are in charge of that.
Now let's talk about the target for this initiative. After you launch it, what's the target? And is there a cutoff age?
Basically, we are looking at the youth bracket. So we are not expecting, someone who is above 70 to come and say he wants to learn as an apprentice. I mean, you're looking at the age bracket, which is between 15 to 35 years. People who are still within the workforce, who are still strong, who can still learn and actually be beneficial to society. So we are not expecting someone who is 10 years who want to come and learn. No, you are still underage. So that is what.
But so what will be the determination of somebody who is of sound mind who can learn? If I am age 45 and I think that, well, I'm still hale and hearty and I want to learn a skill so that I can be employed, is that person welcome?
Yes, some exceptions can be made to every rule. There may be exceptions, but basically we are looking at within the age brackets of 15 to 35.
Okay, so you do not cross that limit, but then you make exceptions. Now, let's talk about how many you are targeting in the first. Are you going to be doing this in phases, in batches? How are you going to do this?
Yes, in our campaign promises, Excellency John Dramani Mahama initially promised 100,000 youth every year in the 4-year mandate. But for now, that we just started the year, it's already going to launch. This year, we're looking at how we can do a minimum of 10,000 people, because we just started it, and to start, we also need to do some capital and structural adjustment to be able to start the program. As we start, we also try to dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure everything is in order. So for this year, we budgeted to start with 10,000 youth. That's the minimum of 10,000 youth that will be trained under the National Apprenticeship Program. In the subsequent years, we'll make sure we're able to make up for the shortfalls, we're able to hit the 100,000 mark that His Excellency put out during the campaign.
Has the authority started identifying master craftsmen?
Yes, master craftsmen have actually, many master craftsmen have written to the authority, and we continue to engage, we continue to visit some of them, their workshops, and once you write to the National Youth Authority, the agency or the body that will be doing the implementation is the CTVET and TVET offices. So they are in charge of the standardization, they'll be in charge of curriculum. So it's actually, we're working with CTVET and TVET because we'll be looking at standardization, we'll be looking at curriculum, we'll be looking at the monitoring, we'll be looking at the implementation. So it's a cross-cutting program that it doesn't just sit with the Ministry of Youth, it also sits with Ministry of Labor, because at the end of the day, you're talking about employing people. What is the skill? How are they going to transit into job market? We'll also be talking about Ministry of Trade. At a point, you'll be dealing with GEA, because then when you start up, it becomes an enterprise. How are they going to how are they going to get help? How are they going to get a stimulus package to be able to move
to? So
it's a multi-sectoral collaboration. But because it's something that is driven by the youth, that's why its implementation sits with the Ministry of Youth under the National Youth Authority.
How far with Winnie Red? I'll come to that, but let me. You mentioned something a while ago. You talked about the inclusion of CTVET and TVET. In 2020, under the Ministry of Education, there was a national apprenticeship policy launched. Is this a continuation of it?
Well, launching a policy and implementing a policy are two different things. I continue to hear of that policy that was launched by the former running mate of the MPP. I think at the time he was
the education minister.
He was the education minister, and I think after they launched it, they just launched a policy. After the policy, I didn't see any implementation. I didn't see any program. But this is a whole new policy that has been launched under the Ministry of Education and to be implemented by the Ministry of Education. What the MPP launched was paper and it continues to remain paper. It wasn't implemented. So maybe along the line we'll go back for that paper and see if there could be some guidance so far as it's concerned. But it's not a continuation. It's an entirely new national apprenticeship program. I think what they launched was a apprenticeship policy, but it's a national apprenticeship program which includes a policy and includes an implementation plan. So there are two different
distinct
programs. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned about the launch being on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Where?
It's
UDS?
on Wednesday, the 30th of April, 2025, at the UDS Multipurpose Auditorium in Tamale campus. I'm inviting you. I'm inviting everyone from GHOne. I'm inviting all the youth of Ghana. I'm inviting everyone in Ghana, especially for those who find themselves within the Tamale environs and the northern sector. Do well to be there. This is a program for the youth. This is a program for young people. This is a program His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama is so passionate about that it gives everybody sleepless nights, including His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama. He keeps saying that it must be implemented. It must be implemented well because we must reduce the youth unemployment numbers. So His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama is passionate about the National Apprenticeship Program. It gives him sleepless nights. It gives my minister sleepless nights. It gives me sleepless nights. So we are ready to implement it, and we will make sure that we do not fail the good people of this country that put us there to reset this country and put it on a better pedestal.
How far with the Red campaign?
Yes, Red campaign is still on. Red campaign, it wasn't just an event like a one-day program, no. And this weekend we'll also take the Red campaign to the north as well.
Okay.
I mean, heading to the northern part of the country, we'll be seeing the Yana, we'll also be telling him about Red. And I've seen in some media reportage, I think somewhere in Ayawa, so some youth have formed their own task force going from ghetto to ghetto to destroy the various ghettos, knowing that these are places that engage in some illicit drug trade or drug abuse. And I would just want to plead with the youth not to go attacking people who may be engaged in that, because for some people it's not just for the fun of it. For some people it's psychological and they may actually need help, they may actually need some treatment, they may actually need some push to be able to help them disengage or decouple themselves from that drug abuse. So as they go out to raid the ghettos, they should be careful. They shouldn't harm innocent
But is this something that
individuals.
your authority endorses?
No, it's not something that we endorse. I will not call young people to go out and raid. If you know a ghetto or you know where some illicit or illegal drug trades may happen, you should report to the necessary authorities. You should report to the Ghana police. The Ghana police should be the body that should go in there and raid various ghettos or raid places that they suspect are engaging in some illicit drug trade. And I remember in our campaign we said that very soon we will need the Ghana police to raid the ghettos, but for now we just need people to willingly desist or disassociate or decouple themselves from the activities. So what we need is the Ghana police to step up their game. The Ghana police should start raiding the various areas where they know there's that illicit trade or illicit exchange or illicit consumption, and not leave it to the youth, because once you have the youth of every area going into it, I mean that they've lost hope or they've lost confidence or they've lost belief in the Ghana police, and that is a very bad signal. So the Ghana police should step in and try as much as possible to start raiding the ghettos where you have people consuming red.
But some of these vigilante groups, members of these groups have been arrested. Are you aware?
I'm aware. That's what I said, that we didn't support,
sanction
we didn't sanction the raiding of the ghettos, because for vigilante groups to go raiding
but this was
illegal.
done to support an initiative that you launched to rid the various communities of this opioid abuse.
Yes, that's what I said. We called on the Ghana police to step up their game, because it's as a result of the failure of the Ghana police to raid. That is why you have some vigilante groups do that. So we are in talks with the Ghana police that they have to step up their game. And once the citizens report that we live here and these people are taking the drugs and they are abusing us, so you should step up or arrest them. Once you fail to do that, citizens will take up the mandate. They'll take up that mandate to start arresting people. So it's not as if citizens really want to raid various ghettos, but it's as a result of an institution not doing its work. So once you see citizens raiding ghettos, it means that the Ghana police is not doing its work so far as securing the places are concerned. So I'm calling on the Ghana police to also step up their game. Once citizens report to you that there are a group of young people in this ghetto who are engaging in some illicit drug trade, the Ghana police should be able to raid those ghettos. So once you don't do that, then you have some citizens raid it. Then it becomes a crisis for us and crisis for the country. So the campaign against red, I mean, red is the most popular among them, but it's campaign against drug abuse, illicit drug abuse, drug trade, anything that has to do. And also with our borders, we call on the Customs Commission and the customs officers to try as much as possible to also prevent its entry into the country. Yes.
I saw Manasseh Azuri on social media tag you in a certain post about certain contracts on sanitation, and I saw you comment on it. What are you going to do about it?
Thank you very much. I think Manasseh made a comment about, he spoke about the fact that the Zoom Lion contract wasn't legal or something.
Wasn't serving its purpose.
Wasn't serving its purpose. So I replied and I told Manasseh Azure that I speak for the youth and I'm for the youth, so we'll make sure anything we do is in the interest of the youth. I, being the CEO of the National Youth Authority, automatically sits on the board of YEA, which has oversight responsibility of all the activities that happens, or the managerial activities that happen within the YEA. The board is yet to be constituted. Once it is constituted, we would call on all parties to brief us as to what really happened and what is really happening. Do we really have a contract? Is there really a contract? Has work been done? Does someone have to get paid, or there's no contract and someone wants to get paid? Once the board is constituted and we have the full briefing of the facts and everything,
would you also, as part of gathering details, will you also be interested in how much these people are being paid?
Absolutely. Also, not just even being a governing board, also being the CEO of the National Youth Authority and in charge of the youth. And most of the people that are being trained or who are working are in the youth bracket. So I should be interested in how much government is paying a service provider and how much the service provider is paying the workers or the beneficiaries. It should be of interest to me. So these are all questions we will be asking. What is the operational cost of the service provider? How much will it really cost in terms of the operational cost? Are we really paying value for money? Are the beneficiaries really working for the value that they are working for? All these questions will be asked. That's why I said that I stand for the youth and I make sure the interest of the youth. When I say I make sure the interest of the youth is at my interest, it doesn't mean that I'm going to cancel contract. No, that's not what I mean. Is that if there's a contract, fine. If there's no contract, then why are we even having a conversation? Then there's no conversation at all. If there's a contract and it is binding, fair enough. Then we now go into the beneficiaries or the workers. Are they really also benefiting from the contract? So it's a whole thesis of issues that we need to look at. The first question is that, is there a running contract? If yes, then we go into the contract. If no, then there isn't even the need to have a conversation. If there's a running contract, okay. Is a contract valid? Is a contract conscionable? Are the beneficiaries also benefiting from the contract in terms of value for money and the work that they do? Vis-a-vis how much the service provider is being paid. So these are questions we'll be asking, especially with I being the National Authority, the National Youth Authority CEO, and also being on the board to make sure that the interest of the youth is paramount.
It's been good having you, and thank you for coming.
So I'll call on you, I'll call on all young people out there to take advantage of the National Apprenticeship Program. Let's make sure we get trained, let's make sure we get skilled, let's make sure we are able to get ourselves employed. His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama wants to make sure that we are able to reduce the rate of youth unemployment. So everyone should take advantage of the National Apprenticeship Program. And His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama wants to reset this country. Wants to reset this country for you, Lily. He wants to reset this country for me. He wants to reset this country for everybody in this country.
Okay. So that's Osman Ayariga Esquire. He is the CEO of the National Youth Authority. We've been discussing the National Apprenticeship Program. Take advantage of it. It will be launched on Wednesday, and so you can log on to the various websites. And then if you're a mastercraft, if you're a young person out there who also wants to learn a skill, take advantage of this. I am back after this breather. We'll do some singing.
That's my guest here. Good morning, Celestine. How have you been?
I've been great. I've been doing very well.
You look very well.
Thank you.
Grace Najarepa.
Amen. Also, wife, yeah. And I think you're one of the few people who actually pronounced Agbebolo very well.
Really?
Yes. Surprisingly.
Oh, that's a sign. Because this song, this song was like my prayer.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I love music. Anybody who knows me knows that I love music. Anybody who knows me knows that I love your songs. So it's an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
But the other story, that one day,
we'll talk about it later.
But in the years that you've been doing music, anytime you churn out a song, people find it interesting. People are able to tag along, sing along. Even though it is not the readily available language that people speak, like Chi, but people are able to sing it. You go on various social media, like TikTok, when you release a song and people are able to do their challenges with it. How do you do it?
How do I do it? I don't know. I can only say that I'm just grateful to God that people appreciate the Ewe language, which wasn't the thing like in the past. It wasn't so. I don't know. Somehow, anytime I do anything that is Ewe, I mean, people just love it, and I'm just grateful to God.
Because the one that had a lot of Ewe words, Maui Jojo. That one, I was like, oh my God,
I know, right? And even kids,
yes,
are doing it. I think people have come to appreciate my niche, which is, a spice of Ewe in everything I say.
What was it challenging for you to do ever? Because this is a language that not a lot of people speak. It's peculiar to a group of people. If you come to Ghana, a lot of people speak Chi, and so a lot of musicians are tempted to do music either in English or Chi.
Yes.
Was it difficult for you?
Well, it wasn't, honestly, because I felt like I'm one of the Ewes who have come to, Accra to be raised, to be born here, to be raised here, and schooled here, and so I've sort of lost touch of the indigenous language, so.
Did you lose touch at some point?
I still have.
Oh, sister.
Yes. Like
even with the words you put in the song.
I tell you, like I'm not on top of the Ewe. You can call me a contemporary Ewe speaker.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people who are like that. We left our hometowns and we came to Accra, and we've actually lost touch of the Ewe. The way the proper Ewe will speak it. So when we have funerals and other activities in the village and we go back and we start speaking, they laugh at us. That's the sad truth. So I'm one of those people, and I feel like, no, the little I know, the little I have command over, I'll push it because I love the language. And sometimes
just who you are.
I wish, sometimes I wish I was born there.
Oh, you really wish?
Yeah, I really wish I have that.
But I think your parents have done a great job.
Oh yeah, they have. They've tried.
For somebody who wasn't born to speak that.
Yeah,
it's impeccable.
Tried.
But what have you been up to lately? I mean, the brand Celestine Donko. What have you been up to?
I have a new song with Dinah Hamilton, and that is what I'm pushing right now. I also have a women's conference coming up.
Let me talk about the song with Dinah Hamilton.
Okay, yeah.
Before the song was released, there were a lot of stories being churned out that, you have a beef with Dinah Hamilton. Did you have a beef with her?
I've never heard such a story. Never. I've never.
But have you ever had a beef with anybody, any of your colleagues?
No.
Nobody has ever shaded you?
I'm a chicken lady. I don't like beef.
So let me remove the beef. Has anybody ever shaded you with chicken?
That's just a joke. I've not had any issue with anybody. No.
But how's the reception been for Akofala?
It's been very awesome, very great. So far, so good. So far, so good.
Akofala, what does it mean?
Akofala means comforter. So if you know anybody called Akofa, is actually comfort. So akofala is comforter. Yeah.
Why comforter?
You know, there was a situation in my life. I was praying about something, and then it was delaying. You know, I wanted it faster some time ago. And then I went to church. You know, sometimes you can pray about something till you get tired of praying about it. That was my case.
Yeah, you're talking to me.
And then I go to church and somebody's sharing testimony of God has done the same thing for the person. For a moment I look up like God, like why? You understand?
I've actually asked God this 2 days ago.
So I started feeling angry in my spirit, like why? You know, because you know how much I need this. And it's like the Spirit of God just spoke to me that instead of you behaving like this, why don't you celebrate with this person and trust me that I'm about to show up for you? So there was that shift in my spirit, and that comfort came to me. You understand? So instead of getting worried and not even thinking about being happy for that person, the Spirit of God just released me, freed me of that anger and a bit of jealousy, and give me some comfort that I should rather have hope that as my ears have heard that he has done it for this person, I should be thankful and trust him that he's about to answer me. In fact, that moment I got comforted, and that is why I chose the title, My Comforter. I'm here to say thank you, not just for what you have done, but what you're about to do. Yeah, that's the message.
Are you a Bible believing Christian?
I am a Bible, Holy Ghost, tongues believing Christian.
Would you ever do a song with a circular act?
I have done it before. It's not new. I've done something with Akwabwa and Efia, but it was on a purpose base. Like after COVID, I felt we the musicians have been through a lot. Let's come together and do a thank you song, you know. So I did it with Akwabwa Efia and Mama Cynthia of Daughters of Glorious Jesus. So it was project based, yeah.
But don't you think that it goes against the tenets of the Bible? Does it?
I think I have had a lot of conversations around this particular topic at the time I released that song, and I sincerely want to move on.
So going forward, would you still do any song?
In this life, I have learned to say never say never. I'll keep it that way.
Even after all the bastardization, you still do it?
You know, I am not saying I will do it, and I'm not saying I won't do it. I'm saying never say never. You never know where you find yourself. Life is very interesting, and I'll keep it that way. Never say never. Because myself, I don't know.
Well, maybe your management too.
I don't know.
But I want us to talk about your upcoming women conference. But let's have a bit of chicken from the Akofela. the unfixable and changes the unchangeable. That's a word of motivation for a lot of people out there. So if you're a young person, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be young, but whatever it is.
Women come out of their shells and be the best of who they want to be. So it's a gathering of women who really want, to understand what God has for them.
Is it Christian based?
Not necessarily. As long as you're a woman, you can attend. Details will come out very soon. You can follow me on my social media for more details. But the joyful part of it is I have a charity attached to it.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to support some women who, especially single mothers, who are probably doing petty trade and need support. So more details will come soon.
Woman thou art loose, so woman unleashed, right?
Yes.
This is biblical.
Yes.
Okay. Celestine, it's been great having you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I cannot wait for 50 years to come and see you singing. Is that something you wish for? Do any of your kids?
I actually see myself singing all my life. I mean, till the day I drop the mic.
Will you hand the baton to any of your children?
They are already taking it from me. I'm not handing it.
Anyway, all the best. So we'll be looking out for the conference.
Thank you. And do go to YouTube and look for Akofala, which was just played. And make sure
Is it just available on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, the video. I want you to react to it. Leave a comment, hashtag GHOne. I want to know you watched us. And also the song, the audio is available everywhere. Just go to your preferred streaming site and look for Akofala by Celestine Dongo featuring Diana Hamilton.
Maybe we should start a TikTok challenge. Follow me on TikTok.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Let's do some celebrations now.